G'day folks, welcome to 1914 Twilight in the East. I am at the first Russian supply phase of game turn 1. And I've started to work through supply, and I thought I'd pause it here and just do a quick video showcasing the considerations you're making. If you don't like supply, if you don't like logistics, stop now. The 1914 series really has supply and logistical considerations at its core. Your supplies drive the direction of your forces, full stop. Your operational and strategic considerations need to have supply at their foundation. Okay, so how do you, where do you start? The rules, and I should point out as well, from the start, I am learning this system. I am still learning this game. I've played through 2 scenarios, enjoyed them. I've made mistakes. I will probably make mistakes here. So please keep an eye on pinned comments below. If anyone points anything out that I've done wrong, I will highlight those. But I'll try to highlight some of the broader supply considerations. Now, it's a Russian turn, so the Russians are making their supply considerations. Lovely thing about this module is you can highlight Russian supply units, which is what I've done there. I've also highlighted special rules to highlight those special leaders, but I'll turn that off now. So what you see highlighted are my supply units, my major and minor depots. These are army level depots, and this is for the first army. This is the first army command sheet here. This is the major depot and the minor depot, minor differences between the two. They provide supply to your core trains and to independent formations of that army. They must be on a railway line. So if I can hover over here, what I love about this module as well, I can shrink that. If I hover over here, I've never seen this before in a vassal module, but it highlights the hex they're in, and we can see there's many things going on here. It's a fortification, it's a supply source, it's on a rail line. So the first army's major depot is very easily in supply. Likewise, scrolling down to the south here, their first army's minor depot is on that rail line in Olita. They are in supply. And let me scroll to the supply rules. There is a PDF of the rules available on the GMT website and from the Consumworld forum. It makes it a lot easier to scroll through, search through for particular rules. And yeah, so supply depots are in supply. Check, nothing to worry about there. The next thing we do is check that the core trains are in supply. Now, you can eventually you can eyeball this, but let's go through methodically. First of all, the first cavalry core train, 1C. This shows all the formations in the first army. I won't go through sort of the army formations, but I'm just going to work through the core. First cavalry core train is here. Now, they must be able to, there's a number of sources. They can receive supply from either an in-supply depot unit, range of 6, or from a railway line. Now, for this video, those railway line access points are going to be critical. In short, if a unit is within 3 hexes of a railway line, they can draw supply from it without having to worry about their superior supply source. That includes both combat units and these supply trains. So the first cavalry unit would typically be looking at the first army depot. You can count supply there, and let's work through it, because I think they probably could draw all the way out there, because when you are drawing supply, each hex costs 1, but railway lines are cheaper. A double track, which is what we have here, so the double marks means it's a double track, count as 1/4 of a hex each, and a single track counts as half. So we can go from here, 1, and then 2, 3, and 1/4, easily making it there within that range of 6. 20th is a city on a railway line, even closer to the depot, but we should point out here, these, because the Russian corps were rushed to the front, they weren't fully equipped as yet. And so we have these incomplete rules. So in the first couple of turns in the game, they have a reduced AP value and a reduced range. They can only provide supplies to units within a range of 3. I'll get to that in a moment. So we've got the first cavalry. Where is the second? The second should be down here in Augustal. They have just trained it in. Again, they're on a rail line. They're all consolidated together. No problem there. Then we have the third. The third is at the front here. This is a very interesting situation. Okay, so the third corps supply train down in the south here. Are they in a little town? No, they're just in a little railway station. They're on a rail line. So that train is in supply. It can throw supplies forward 5 minus 2 hexes. Well, now we're in trouble. We can go half 1, 2, 3. We can go 1, 2, 3. We're in trouble. So these divisions of the third corps can't draw supply from their train. You can, and I'll just go through a hypothetical here. You can extend that to a range of 9. It'll still be minus 2. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're in extended range. This would put them in low supply if I wanted to pursue that option. However, as I mentioned earlier, both combat units and trains can draw supply from railway lines. And this division here can draw it from this hex here. This division here can draw it 1, 2 from this hex here. They're easily within that 3 hex range. I don't know if we'll see any any extended circumstances, but if a unit is between 4 and 6 hexes of a railway line hex, they can draw low supply. Now that may happen. Let's say these guys actually. Here we go. Are they in supply? 1C BD. They are 1C BD. Where are they? They're an asset. Okay, so how are they going to draw supply? So when most of the time asset units are stacked with a formation, and they treat that formation as, say, they draw supply as though they were with that formation. But when an asset unit is sort of stacked by itself like this, they are treated as though they are part of the nearest formation, or the closest formation. Now in this case there's 2. They're cavalry, so it probably makes sense to put them with the first cavalry corps. Now in that case, their train is here. 1, 2, 3. They are easily within supply of that first cavalry corps train. That's resolved as well. I'm jumping way ahead. I'm just trying to highlight a few examples. But yes, let's get into we've done the third. Let's look at the fourth. The fourth is down here. They also have the minus 2. How are they going to draw supply? Range of 3, 1, 2, 3. They can't quite make their divisions on the front. Again though, these divisions can draw supply 1, 2, 3 to that rail line. Likewise this one, 1, 2, 3 to that rail line. They are just in supply, but you can see if they move 1 hex further forward, they're going to be in low supply, which presents kind of an immediate logistical challenge for the 4th corps. They may want to move this corps train maybe down to here or onto the rail line to just push that supply out a little bit further. It's not going to help by much. Yeah, watch the first video I did where I talked about the rail situation in this vicinity. It's quite challenging for the Russians. Okay, this is another interesting one. An independent formation. I'll double check. Here is is it 5RF? Yep, so they're an independent formation. They are a brigade, an independent brigade of the 1st Army. This is another interesting special situation. Independent formations must or can't draw supply from core train units. They have to either draw supply from an army depot or from the rail lines. Now in this case, there's a rail line right there, but this formation will have to be careful because they can't rely on this and they can't rely on that. So they're going to have to be careful, and they're going to be very limited in their movement. What the Russians are hoping to do is open this rail line through here, and that will then facilitate supplies driving north. Again, I'm not going to go through how this is shaping the Russian offensive, but well, there's an example. This unit can't move much further forward to the northwest because they're not going to be able to draw supplies. They'll be in low supply at this hex here, and I can't see a way that they can do that until Russian forces begin to clear out some of the German forces on that rail line. Okay, so 4th have resolved their supply. Now we go to the 20th. The 20th is back up the top here. They're pretty easy. Here's, well, not so straightforward. Here's their core train, a range of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so they can both reach because of the use of that double rail line, or of course they can draw it straight to the rail line just below them within 3 hexes. Okay, so that's the first army resolved, and then you basically repeat that for each of your armies. You check the army depots. Here's the 2nd army depot. Now the 2nd army is not allowed to move on this first turn, and there's the minor depot. We've got the 1st corps down here in the southwest. I love how it's highlighted, so I can just quickly see that. Again, they're out of range, but they are on this rail line. Now let's trace this rail line. It does flow through Praga off to the eastern map edge, thus keeping that train in supply. They are also developing. Now this could pose an interesting challenge for the 1st Corps, who are out here. But again, here's the rail line here, and those units are 1, 2, 3 hexes from that rail line, so they are narrowly in supply. But again, similar problems. If they go any further to the west, they'll be in low supply, unless their train obviously makes adjustments and follows them out there. Okay, so 1st Corps is okay. 6th Corps up in the north here. They're probably the most convenient. They're within range of their army depot, and they're right next to their core depot on a rail line, so everything's looking good there. 13th is also nearby, limited range of 3, but again they're sitting on a rail line. And the 15th Corps down here, again within range of the army depot. And okay, these guys, let's have a look. They are out of range of that core train, but they are 1, 2, 3 hexes away from that rail line. Okay, I'm not going to keep going because there's quite a few more armies to get through. We've got the 9th, Warsaw, 4th and 5th, but hopefully this kind of gives you an example of some of the supply considerations you're making. Now, as I said, I wasn't going to go through the details of how this is shaping my offensive, but already we've seen how these guys are close to low supply. But if the Russians can open this rail line, if they can capture Staloponin and then this kind of little station here, they can facilitate rail to the southwest. Okay, so then to capture this, that will enable supplies to flow down through here, may even help the 2nd Army as they drive northwest. Okay, so this is how you do supply first. Next is, I think, the movement phase comes after supply, and so your supply considerations really inform the movements that you're making in that movement phase. All right, folks, thanks for watching and take care.